I don't get it.
No,
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And look, you know, as you know, along with most people, there's a lot of praise on this show this year. And listen, I'm not taking anything away. I like the way he goes about it. I love the way his team plays. They haven't spent a bunch of money. They've lost Harry Kane. They lost Heung-min Son to the Asian Cup. They've had their problems. They had 4 fullbacks at centre back at one point, and they still played very, very good football. But he's definitely irked by this continuation of the question. And he's saying it's not an issue, it is an issue. And it's part of the thing that he's going to have to solve. I don't quite get the prescriptive thing in the tablet, you know, as if it's like one thing's going to... They went into that big North London derby. Arsenal were one of the strongest, if not the strongest side, statistically with set pieces, and yet they were not. They seemed a little ill-prepared. It's not quite been strong enough. But it's Postecoglou. I just feel that he's not been irked by many things this season in press conferences.
This seems a strange thing to be irked about. Like, Jurgen, why is he so prickly about it? You know, it clearly is a problem, and a problem he has to address, and just accept that publicly. Surely that's not a big deal.
You don't want to make it bigger, you know, than it is already, because it is a big deal, yeah. So he talks it down a little bit. But, you know, about defending set pieces, this is what, you know, for a manager is really challenging, because you train defending and attacking set pieces, corner kicks, side free kicks and all that stuff, to keep the attention from your players high, focused, aggressive, anticipating. It takes a lot of energy. And obviously they watched the film on Arsenal's corner kicks, and they do it extremely well. It's really fun to watch how they execute their set pieces, you know. But it's not easy to get yourself prepared, and Frank knows that better than I do as a defender. It's all about, you know, your focus, your concentration, your aggressiveness inside, and also, you know, how you attack the ball. And at the same time, you need to have an eye on your striker from the other team, and you know, make it sure that nothing happens, you know. Yeah, there are coming so many little pieces together. Like you said, you know, positioning of the goalkeeper then is to be discussed. And then, you know, you can see 2 goals like that. But, yeah, I mean, he does address it. I mean, he doesn't publicly admit it. But absolutely, they have the discussion there at Spurs, and they hopefully, you know, can figure that one out towards the Chelsea game.
I'm sorry, Dan. The one thing in our game that can be prescriptive is set pieces. That's the one thing that everybody knows what their role is going to be. And in every team that we've ever been a part of, all of us, on the board, there are the matchups, and this is your assignment. And there is an assistant coach walking around saying, know your assignments. Make sure you know your assignments. And when you walk out the locker room, and on the board or on a poster, you can see corner kicks, free kicks, who's picking up whom. And in fact, there are players on the field who also make it sort of, I don't know if it's their responsibility, but they think it's important enough for them to know not only their assignment, but somebody else's assignment as well. The goalkeeper is usually responsible for that as well. So this, set pieces, this, you have to be prescriptive. This, you have to prepare for. This, you cannot just make up on the run. This doesn't make any sense, because you're talking about prescription about something that actually it is designed to be prescriptive. It's the one thing that you can put on the board and say with exactitude, you pick up this guy and this is your responsibility.
Frank, is there ever a scenario, say if you're on this side as a senior member of the back four, where you have a conversation with the coach?
Yes, of course, that's something you discuss, because on top of it, every game is different, because depending on the opponent that you have. But there is something, yeah, it can be prescriptive. Yeah, you have to work on that, and it's very important because it's details. But I think 65% of goals are scored on set pieces. Yeah, it has to be prescriptive, but you forgot something, guys. Nowadays, most teams, they play in zone. They don't mark any more players. They don't have a responsibility of marking one player and taking care of that one. When I was a defender, I was, okay, today I have Jurgen Klinsmann to take care against Monaco or against Tottenham. That was my duty. So I was looking at Jurgen Klinsmann. And if Jurgen Klinsmann would have scored, I would have been responsible. But because now they mark in zone, they're not responsible for anything. So they don't care. They don't really care. They don't pay attention to the opponent. They take care of the ball and the positioning that they are in, and what we ask them. That's the most biggest craziness that I ever seen in football, especially in set pieces. It's so much harder to not mark anybody. If you mark somebody, you're responsible for him, and you don't even have to look at the ball. You just look at him, and you make sure that he doesn't get it. And that's what it is. And I mean, we all been through that. I can tell you, I don't look at the ball. I look at Jürgen Klinsmann. I can tell you, he will never mark. He will be late. He will be late to get the ball. We all know that, and they knew that, the strikers. Now they have freedom, and that's crazy. That's the first time I'm against Postecoglou on that comment, because that's very important. That's not a detail. That's very important. You have to work on set pieces.
The problem is there's some stats out there that tell you zonal marking, you're less likely to lose a goal than man-for-man.
Don't tell Frank that.
But listen, I'm not a big... I like man-for-man marking. Unless I've lost my man and he scores, then I have to go in at half-time or the end of the game and address my teammates that why I lost my man. But that's responsibility. But a lot of guys do. Some do a hybrid, some do zonal, some do man marking. There are obviously stats out there that tell a story. One thing you can't get away from, if you're any team playing Arsenal and you don't have somebody making a nuisance of himself against Ben White, you're not doing your job properly. Because Vicario, to take this instance, needs a bodyguard, per se. Now, you cannot allow a player like Ben White, who has done brilliant at made a nuisance, to do that with no Tottenham player, for instance, in this game, barging into him, trying to... If I'm playing against Ben White, I'm going in there, I'm standing on his toes with my studs, I'm doing everything. Yeah. It's not going to be obvious, but I'm getting in, I'm putting him off of thinking about what he's going to do to the goalkeeper by getting in his face. I'm distracting him. But whenever I see, a lot of times when I see Arsenal, and this was at the weekend, he had carte blanche around the goalkeeper to annoy himself and basically get in the goalkeeper's face. That's something I think every team needs to address when they're playing Arsenal. And if you don't, what happened at the weekend is probably going to happen again.
Just going back to what Frank was saying, Jürgen, you're scoring on Frank. It doesn't matter if he's man-marking you tight, aren't you?
I would not give a ball against Frank.
Oh, no, don't tell Frank that. No, clip that off.
He doesn't need encouragement, Jürgen.
Walk around Paris showing that to people. Let's take a look at the predictions, shall we? There is a game, of course.
Wouldn't have marked Jürgen. He'd have put Erling Jonsson on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Go and beat Jürgen up.
Much as it's a shock that we could have an all-German Champions League final, according to Jürgen Klinsmann, he believes Spurs are going to get the win against Chelsea. Jürgen, I wonder why on earth you would say that.
Yeah, because they got to win. I mean, if they really want to still do something in this remainder of the season, they need 3 points. They cannot go away with a tie. A tie is like a loss, basically. It's just 1 point. So I think, you got to go for it. And I hope they're going for it.
A tie would certainly open the door to... I don't really talk about this game anymore. Does anyone want to say anything? No?
Not really.
No,
Right,
no.
okay.
No. I just want to ask you again one more thing, because there's a lot of talk among Spurs fans at the moment that they wouldn't be too disappointed if Manchester City beat them, because, of course, that would give them another 3 points ahead of being arch rivals Arsenal. Does that come into play at all in a player's mind going into games like that?
No, absolutely not. No. Plays no role at all.
But then, as a Spurs fan, what would you prefer? To lose against City or to beat City and then Arsenal go on and win the title?
You want to win your games, no matter what. That's all that matters to you as a player.
Come on,
There you go.
You tried it.
I've tried.
You tried it, Dan. You tried.